Thank you, Madam Speaker. And will the sponsor yield?
Absolutely.
I would like to, hopefully I can get through this because I have a terrible cold. I have that cold everyone's had. But roads are the #1 issue in my district. Highway 109, Hartsville Pike, South Mount Juliet Road, Central Pike, Lebanon Road. I could go on and on. Roads are the #1 issue in my district. And I hear more people saying, how can you do this at a time when we have a $2 billion surplus? Thank you. Would you mind opening it? But like you just said, Mr. Sponsor, we are in a position at this time to restructure our taxes so that we can provide adequate funding for our roads by simultaneously adjusting taxes in our general fund and highway fund so that Tennesseans will enjoy a 20% decrease in their food tax, so that they will enjoy a 20% decrease in the hall income tax, and that tourists, transients, and truckers who pay a third of the gas tax, who pay half of the diesel tax, will pay more for our roads. I think you know that nobody probably has worked harder than I have to find out how my constituents feel about this bill. I have held 9 town hall meetings all over my district. And I present the plan very, very neutrally. People come up to me afterwards and they say, I can't tell whether you're for the governor's plan or for the other plans. I cannot tell. And that's the way I want it, because I want to know what they think. But in these 9 meetings, I find that when I tell people where the surplus comes from, that really makes a difference to them. It makes a great difference to them. And I wonder how many people in here know where the surplus comes from and who we really have to thank for that surplus. I explained the budget, I explained the surplus, I explained the road planning, but our $2 billion surplus, it comes from the hard work of our state employees. They did lean Six Sigma projects, and at the end of fiscal year, and under the fiscal year budget 2016, that was last summer, those state departments turned back $511 million into the Treasury. Well, because we passed the budget in April, we didn't know that we were going to have that $511 million. So that meant that $511 million was actually available for FY16, but we hadn't spent it because we didn't know it would be available. So you have that end of the year FY16, that was last June, those state departments turned in $511 million of unspent money. That's where that came from those Six Sigma projects. That meant that money would also be unspent in FY17. There's your $1 billion. There is your $1 billion. And what it also means is that going forward into our next budget year, that $511 million, that same savings that the state employees generated through that hard work, is also available going forward into the future. That is savings. Those are efficiencies in government. And isn't that what Republicans are supposed to be about? That's what we want to see happen. Government get more efficient. $511 million for each of those 3 years. And then, of course, we have our normal growth of just over 3%. So you add that to it. And yes, we have almost $2 billion in surplus. So we are at a unique time where we can give the people a tax break. Let's lower that food tax. Let's lower that hall income tax now rather than waiting 6 years. Let's lower the F&E tax and attract more factories to Tennessee. I don't see where this has a downside, because those tourists, transients, and truckers do pay 1/3 of the gas tax and 1/2 of the diesel tax. I want to give my constituents a tax break. Lots of my constituents, they have 2 or 3 kids, some have even 4 kids, and they've told me, wow, when I put pencil to paper, I'm actually going to save money here. Now, is this plan pocketbook neutral to everyone? Well, thanks to changes that the Senate made, it's pocketbook neutral to a lot of people. In fact, it's more than pocketbook neutral to, I would say, most people. Is it pocketbook neutral to everyone? No. But can any plan ever be pocketbook neutral to everyone? Probably not. I have someone who lives in Lebanon in my district. He works in Spring Hill. I've said to him, why don't you just move to Spring Hill? He said, well, I like the schools in Lebanon. Okay. That's freedom. That's his decision. And we probably can't make a bill that's going to be pocketbook neutral to him. But I think we have made a bill that's pocketbook neutral to as many people as we can possibly make it. And let me conclude by saying at my town hall meetings, those meetings where I tell them about the budget and the surplus and the plans, and I do it in a very neutral way because I want to know what they think. I don't want them to just react to maybe what I think. I want to know what they think. I ask for a show of hands at the end. People who came in being absolutely against the Improve Act, at the end, raise their hand. The vast majority in the meeting raise their hand and say they are for this because they realize, why shouldn't Tennesseans enjoy a food tax cut of 20%, and elderly people enjoy the whole income tax cut now? And why shouldn't those tourists, transients, and truckers pay a greater portion for our roads than they are paying now? So, Mr. Sponsor, thank you for all of your work on this legislation. It's a hard one to understand, it really is. But once people understand it, they realize they're probably going to end up saving money through this. And why? It's because of that budget surplus where we have the room from those efficiencies where we can lower those taxes in the general fund and give those savings to the people of the state of Tennessee. And that's a good thing. And thank you to our state employees for all of your hard work in saving that money.